reference The Richest Man in Babylon. That's an excellent read, by the way, if you've never read it. And this is going to kind of close out the idea that I was talking to you guys about when we talked about the all me. So it's associations, work, education, effort, and money. This kind of sums it all together. And so I honestly, hold on, I'm gonna go back here. I honestly wish I had read that book. By the way, oh, you know what? If you want a book recommendation, that's the book to read. Richest Man in Babylon. So forget about the government contracting books. Well, obviously mine, but The Richest Man in Babylon. If you want a book that helps you, it's written a long time ago. But if you want a book to help talk to you about education in terms of personal development and financial education, that is the book to recommend to read. So I would definitely recommend, if you want a book to read, is The Richest Man in Babylon. But I wish I had read this book prior to making some of the poor decisions that I made in my business career. And you'll see, I'll go through and I'll share with you some of these examples. But so The Richest Man in Babylon, they have what's called the 5 laws of gold. Number 1 says, gold cometh gladly and in increasing quantity to any man who will put not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. And I can tell you, for me, what I've done is I've started investing in real estate. Once you start making money out here, and you start making money, then you got to start doing other things with it. That's going to preserve, like they said, you want to build a fort around your family to protect them from things that happen. Because again, it's really, we teach you how to make money, but when we get to start getting some high level stuff, there's things that come up where, people, friends, they borrow, they want to lend money. Now they know you're successful, and you start making some very poor decisions about investment opportunities because now you have this extra cash that you didn't have before. And much like any professional athlete, it can all slip right through your hands. All right. Number 2, go labor diligently and contently for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. And basically what they're saying in that is that your money will work for you. So again, like I said, once you start making additional investments, you'll see that your money starts working for you. Number 3, gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invested under the advice of men wise in its handling. What does that mean to me? To me, that means don't take advice from people who are not doing it. That includes your girlfriend and your mama, simply put. All right? It's very easy for people to give you advice. They tell you, hey, man, invest in Bitcoin. That's the latest craze, right? Bitcoin. So buy Bitcoin. Invest in Iraqi dollars because the Iraqi dollars, they're going to increase, 500-fold. And, this happens to me. I have people come to me that, they're super broke. They have no money, and they want me to take my money that I go out and I work for and make, and then invest it in some, pyramid scheme thing. I don't even know. And they're like, Eric, no, look, you should take your money and invest it in this. No, I probably should take my money and invest it in what I'm already doing and the things that I know, and work with people that I like, people in the entrepreneurs group who actually are successful people. Work with those people, and they already know what has worked for them. All right. Number 4, gold slippeth away from the man who invested in business or purposes for which he is not familiar, but which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. Again, if you don't know anything about stocks, don't invest in stocks. The stock market, there's just as many stories of failure as there is success. And number 5, gold flees the man who would force an impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment. Again, there's no such thing as get rich quick or easy. So don't try and beat the system. And it goes back to what I was telling you guys earlier. You can't buy your way into this stuff. You can't pay someone to do, people ask me, oh, Eric, do you have mentorship and training? Yeah, I do have mentorship and training. This is it. This is your mentorship and training. When you go through my Govcon Giants course, you're going to go into our Facebook group. In my Facebook group, you're allowed to ask me anything you want and possible. I mean, this thing is growing bigger than than I thought, and then I'm sure a lot of other people thought. And like my boy Kellen said, he says, Eric, it looks like you're gonna have to be that guy, whether you want to be or not. So, you know what? If that's the case, then I don't mind. I don't mind taking on responsibility to be that guy. It's gonna be here for you guys and help you throughout your GovCon journey because I know how great of an impact it can have on you and your family and the people that you love and care about the most. So, again, gold flees the man who would force it impossible to his earnings and takes advice from tricksters and schemers who trust in his own inexperience and desires an investment. So just be careful out there when you're doing that stuff. All right, I've got a question in from Charles. All right, it says, question from a large company. Who else have you helped getting government contracts? No one. Me, no one. Would leveraging your friends when just getting started versus going directly to an institutional be an idea? You know, Charles, that's an excellent question. And I'm going to say this. No. I'm going to say no. Because, what that is, again, it goes back to Tuesday's video, fear and failure. You know what? This brings me to something very interesting. I was listening to the newest book that I'm reading is Richard Branson's book, Find Your Virginity. And so I was listening to Richard Branson's book today, Finding Your Virginity. Richard Branson had a run-in with Donald Trump back in like the early 2000s. And so he shared the story of his experience working with Donald Trump. By the way, Charles, I'm going somewhere with this. And so Richard Branson, in the book, Finding Your Virginity, shares he had lunch with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump invited him there. And at the lunch session, Donald Trump said to Richard Branson that when he was in trouble, he reached out to 10 people, and 5 of them didn't help him. And so he vowed to get revenge on those 5 people with everything he has. Now, I'm not here to discuss anything political. What I'm here to say is this. When what I heard in that message, again, this is my message, and this is what I heard. What I heard in that was that if Donald Trump was a billionaire or a millionaire, 100 millionaire, when he was in trouble, he sought out 10 people. Why are we only seeking out 1? So Charles, guess what? The company who asked you who you helped get other contracts for, and they don't want to work with you because you've never gotten contracts for anybody else, that's okay. Go to 9 other companies. That's what I would say. I don't want you to start with your friends because the amount of work, it's easier to talk to 9 other companies than it is to spend 9 years working with your friend who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and you don't know what you're doing, and you guys are basically just moving around and trying to figure your way out. You have no money, no resources, you don't have anything in place. So it's going to be you're going to spend many more years attempting to get into the government marketplace as you would if you took one good company. You only need one. Again, remember what I said last week. Mark Cuban says you only need one good idea, so then we can tell you how lucky you got. You're only looking for one company to work with. You don't need 10. You need one. So if you go through 9 companies that tell you no, and a 10th company says, look, hey, this happened to me so many times. I'll share another story before we go. If the 10th company says, you know what, young man, you look like a hardworking guy, you look dedicated to your craft, tell me why I should give you a chance. You better have something already prepared. You better let this person know that you've already, because if you come to them and you don't say, you come to them and say, look, I want to help you get government contracts because, I went on there and I watched a YouTube video and learned to get government contracts. Everyone's going to tell you no. You've got to come in there with your A game. You got to say, listen, when you meet these people, hey, my name is Charles. I've been doing a lot of research in the marketplace, and I see where there's some opportunity that we can help, grow your business twofold, maybe even threefold, leveraging the power of federal contracts. Have you ever considered working in the federal marketplace? Okay. So then when you come to them like that and you say, look, by the way, just so you know, I've got a list here of companies and who are actually doing this stuff. They do exactly what you do. But I believe, because I've seen you guys, I watch you guys, I know your history. I believe you guys are better positioned to actually win these contract awards. But unfortunately, in speaking to the contracting officer who gives out the awards, she said that no one else applies for the contract, so she has to keep giving it to the same people all the time because no one else is even showing up. Would you guys be happy to give me an opportunity to see if I could take your information, take your company, and present it to this contracting officer for consideration for a potential contract award? That's how you come at people. You don't just sit here and say, hey, big company, I want to help you get government contracts. I never did it before. No. You come at people and you say, look, you come to them, you put together a presentation, you put together a packet, you research the market, you show them that you've done your homework. You show them that you already know and again, this is easy stuff. I know you're a smart guy, so this is very easy stuff. You put it together, go on Guru, go on Upwork, use one of the people out there to put you a nice presentation packet together, make it look all fancy and pretty. And then you take it and you say to them, the same thing that Dell Tech and these guys send you. I do this all the time, by the way. You take the same email that people send you, because I know if you're registering SAM, you're getting these emails. FEMA spent $50 billion in disaster relief. You could be next. This is your NAICS code. You sign up here today. So you take that same presentation and you take the information, you go on and you do your research, find the names of the companies and all the entities, have someone doctor up, make it look nice and pretty, and that's what you present to the big company. All right? You present that information to the big company. You sit down and you talk intelligently. And trust me, if you go out and if you talk to 10 companies and 10 tell you no, come back and see me. And then I'll put you in touch with someone that'll give you a chance. All right? What else? Oh, by the way, I'll give you an example of me, Charles, by the way, and everyone out here listening. I had the same thing happen to me, actually. When I was about a year ago, I was trying to buy this real estate portfolio. It was an estate sale. And it was 13 units, and it was an estate. It was 6 buildings, 3 lots, like a total of 13 units. And the first thing that I did was I reached out to my friend, Richard, and I think I talked about this a little bit briefly. I reached out to my friend, Richard Cohen, who's ultra successful, lives in Miami in one of the top neighborhoods. He actually lives in the same neighborhood as Ray Allen and some of the Heat players. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, look, I'm trying to buy this portfolio. And so what should I do? How do I go about buying this portfolio? I'm having a hard time. So I reached out. I went to someone that does this for a living. I didn't ask my brother what to do. He wouldn't know what the hell to do. I didn't ask my friends what to do, because even my friends who are successful in government contracting, they don't have real estate portfolios and they don't invest in that. So I didn't ask them for advice because they can't give me advice. I went to the person who buys real estate and owns hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate assets. I asked him what to do. And so I called him on. I said, Richard, hey, listen, I got this deal on the table. I'm not sure how do I do it? And he sent me the same thing like I'm doing for you guys. He literally sent me a package, and he says, Eric, this is the package that I use to buy my portfolio projects. Now, his what he buys are $20 million shopping centers, $30 million, Class B, Class C office space, things like that. But he sent me the same package that he gives to the banks to finance his projects. And so he said, look, all you got to do is duplicate this package with your information for your portfolio, and then take it to 2 big banks and 3 smaller banks in the city where you're buying it at. All right. And so I put together the package. I put the whole thing together. It took me 3 days. And I just replicated it. Everything they put, if they had on their financials, I put financials. If they had market, I put marketplace. If they had on their, whatever they had on their, the environment, I put the environment, the people, whatever they had, I literally replicated it verbatim. And so I took the information, I put it together, I sent it back to Richard, and I said, Richard, can you take a look and see? And he gave me an A. He says, you get an A, now take it out there and go talk to some banks. And it was so big, I wish I had it here to show you guys. But it was it's a 3-ring binder, right? By the time I finished this thing. And it was a small real estate deal compared to what this guy buys. It wasn't no multi-million-dollar real estate deal. It was a smaller deal, less. And so, but I put together this huge package. And Richard said this to me. He said, Eric, he goes, if you take this to a bank, you're going to have more information than the bank people have. And I can tell you this. I went to 5 banks, just like he said. I went to Wells Fargo. I went to Bank of America, and I went to all these big banks. They rejected. They don't do they didn't do lending like I needed to do a portfolio loan. They didn't do portfolio loans, and so, um, but everybody that I went to, you know what they said to me? They go, "We've never seen anything like this. We've never had anyone walk in here that gave us a presentation like this." Um, and so they were all wowed and they were all impressed. And I had one guy in a small local bank up in Palm Beach County, and I'll never forget. This is an older guy. I mean, he's white hair. I mean, this guy was late 70s, had to be. And he told me, he said, "Young man," he said, "look, he goes, I can't fund you because we don't do that type of lending." He says, "But you're on the right path." And he says, "I've seen many people." He goes, "I know one in particular that started out doing exactly what you did, and they were able to leave millions of dollars to their universities." And so what did that do? That gave me the encouragement to keep going and to keep pushing. And I share this to say that you guys, it's the same thing with what Trump said about 10. He tried 10 people, and 5 turned him down, but the other 5 bailed him out and got him to resolve his issues. So I went to one bank and they said, "We don't do it, but try this other bank here, and we think they'll help you." And do you know that it was that final bank, the 5th bank that I went to, that actually funded my deal and funded my project, and I was able to close that real estate deals out. So I say this to say that to you guys, and Charles, is that I'm not interested in the people who don't want to help me. I'm not interested in the companies that don't want to work with you, because I believe, Charles, that with the information that we're sharing and what you're learning here, that you can take that company who's doing 20 million and you can make them do 30 million. And that would instantly propel you in your career and in your success, and that'll give you huge wins out here in this world, as opposed to spending 2 to 3 years trying to win these smaller contracts. You grow somebody's business and again, it's easy because they're already doing 20 million, right? So it's a lot easier. So if you take and grow somebody's business and you grow up $10 million, what do you think you're going to make in that process? How much money do you think you're going to make? And how much easier is it to go talk to a contracting officer with a $20 million company standing behind you, right? They're standing on your shoulders. I mean, now you are a giant, right? You go in there and you talk to a contracting officer and you go, "Hey man, listen, I'm here representing XYZ company. We did 20 million last year. We've got bonding. We've got tractors. We've got trailers. We've got dump trucks. What do you want? We've got 50 employees. You're telling me, you qualify for everything they've got." So that's what I say to that. Anything else, guys, before we wrap up? It's a little bit past 7. I've gone over my time here. Anything else? All right, guys, listen, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel. If you missed last week's presentation, my Govcon Day 2, Fear and Failure, that was a really good one. Sign up for my email list. By the way, I know a lot of people are always asking, how do they, you get tips, news, letters. I send information out to people. I let you know about anything upcoming. And also, if you want to get signed up for my Govcon Giants training program, then if you sign up for my subscription to my email list, the first email that you receive will ask you about going and joining Govcon Giants, and so you can join it there. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for having me tonight. Eric Coffie Score Contracts. I'll see you next time.